Hey everybody, welcome back to the High Performance Zone. Today, I have Eliot The Fire Marshall. We're talking UFC, MMA, really world-class individual. We went deep, man. We went deep into the heart and the soul. We talked about fear and the difference between being scared and afraid. We talk about his 6 rules. You've got to listen to these 6 rules on life. And also, we dive into how to bring the world together. This is about being more similar than differences. This is coming from a fighter who is actually a warrior, a king, a musician, and above all else, a great human being. So let's dive in with Eliot and Gucci, the Fire Marshall. Glad to be here. Eliot, welcome to the High Performance Zone, my man.
What up, Gucci? How are you, man? Good to see you.
Wow, I got to tell you, it's an honor to be with you. Your background with MMA, there's so many things I want to dive into as a whole, as a soul person, the heart, not just the head. But, you know, I was doing some research on you, and I found out that you like this movie called The Karate Kid. Tell me about that, man. What was
It's
that?
how it got started. It's how it was the spark, right? It was the spark, and it's super interesting. We never know what the things that are going to be so end up being so influential in our lives are going to be. And for me, it changed my life. I saw The Karate Kid. I did the whole crane kick thing when I was 6 years old. This is 1986, and boom, martial arts. Mom and dad put me in the karate, and there we go.
You know, it's funny.
Rest is history. Here we are talking now. Rest is history.
Man, I think we got the 80s covered. I was in the movie Top Gun in the 80s. 86.
Were you really?
Yeah, I did some of the real flying in that movie.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. And that's,
God,
you know,
damn.
We got the follow-up coming up, coming out later this year. But
are you in that one too?
No, my buddies are, you know.
All right.
But no, I flew off the Enterprise, the Carrier Enterprise, and Hollywood came on and filmed the Carrier scenes for that movie. So it was a cool time.
Classic movie.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise went crazy, but classic movie.
Hey, listen, talk to me about your life a little bit. Tell me how, you got started. I know we said the Karate Kid, right?
Yeah.
But you took that to a whole new realm. And just tell me about your background.
So my background I have a very interesting background in the sense that I come from an interracial marriage, right? An interracial couple in 1980. And you have to remember 1980, much less than it was right now. Right. This wasn't such a kosher thing. And my interracial and also intercultural couple was that my dad's black, my mom's white, but my mom is the child of Holocaust concentration camp survivors.
Wow. So
I got a very, very deep dive into what it was like to have a bad life. And I did not have one. You know, I had a great home life, but I understood, man, if you, I don't know if you have gotten to spend any significant time with somebody who has suffered like Holocaust survivors suffered, you can't help but feel the energy coming off them that something happened to them.
Yeah.
Right. Like something really, really traumatic happened to these people.
I heard that sometimes that can transfer even in the DNA.
I have it.
You do?
I have it. Yeah. Like I have a very deep connection to this, and it has shaped my life in really, really interesting ways, in really, really interesting ways. Like God, I mean, we're going to get dark really fast here. Sorry.
It's all right. Go, man.
I've been fortunate in some ways too. But for me, all of that, any like inheritance that I might like, when my grandfather died, there was some inheritance for us, Okay. I felt a very deep sense of that because for him, the reason that he did everything in his life post-Holocaust was to prepare for Hitler again.
Wow.
Right? Like, so he knew that this was a possibility. He wasn't able to, because he lost on his side of the family, he lost everyone. Jeez. He lost every single person in his family. He knew no one except for people that he was in the camps with when he got out of the camps. His mom, his dad, his 9 brothers and sisters, all gone. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all gone. Everyone died. So it's because they weren't prepared. They weren't paying attention. Oh, okay. Oh, there. Yeah, it won't go there. And then it goes there, So he set up this life that he would always be able to get us out.
Wow.
Right. always be able to get us out no matter what. Like time came, boom, go, let's go right now. We're gone and we can live for years.
Yeah.
So for me, all of this luck of my life is kind of blood money to me. Like I owe it a debt. It's not just, I owe it a debt. I don't get to just have any good fortune in it, which I have good fortune,
Yeah.
but I owe this debt to my grandfather that is almost not repayable.
Yeah.
Right? It's not repayable.
Well, you're doing so much to help others, right? So tell me, how are you paying back that debt that you feel you owe?
Okay, this is where my grandfather and I will disagree.
Okay.
He did not let people into his life because of the fear, right? They were the ones. His friends are the ones that turned them in, the Poles down the street. The non-Jewish Polish people down the street are the ones who turned him in. I do go the other way. I try to bring as many people in as close as I can.
Okay.
And that's mostly because of what happened to me through my experience. He and I have obviously had different experiences now through life. And then I didn't get to play with his deck of cards and he's not playing with my deck of cards. So I do this. Come on. I will promise you I will walk first. I will always walk first. But who's going to walk? I don't want you walking behind me. I want everyone. I want 0 followers. Like the idea that somebody follows me on Instagram kind of fucks with me. I don't want anybody to follow me, right? I want everyone to walk right next to me. I want everyone to jump on this fucking train and like, come on, let's go. We're going to do this together. Because as much as the media and everything tells us how different we are, it's just not true. It's just not true. We are so similar. We need to turn that shit off. Those people are doing that to make money. And that is their sole purpose. That's the sole purpose of the news. And they're going to spin it this way and they're going to spin it that way. And they're going to get your dollars, to get your dollars. And the way they're doing that right now is to tell us how much we hate each other. And I'm not saying that we don't have problems.
Right.
Do we have a race problem? Fuck yeah, do we have a race problem? Do we have a little bit of a lazy problem? Fuck yeah, we have a lazy problem. Do we have a overspending problem? Yeah, we got all of these things. Do we have a border issue? Of course we have a border issue, but why do we have a border issue? We have a border issue because, and I'm just taking the one there, because you got people coming that want a better life for themselves. Yeah. That's the majority of the border issue. What would you do in that situation? If you were stuck, if you were those people, you'd be fucking making your march to America too. That's what I would be doing. So we got problems.
I like what you're saying though, about we're more similar than we are dissimilar. I mean, human beings, right? And I really like what you're saying about, I want people to walk beside me, not ahead, not behind. What I also, heard is this idea of separation, this idea of duality, I think is a misunderstanding. We are not separate from each other. Actually, we're a collectiveness. This consciousness is together. And I think that's critical, right?
Duality is a thing.
Yeah,
right? Duality is a thing. They both exist, and I'm sure we'll get into more of my story in a second or later. But like every situation, it has to have benefits and it has to have drawbacks. There's got to be balance. The problem is people think balance is 50-50. And balance is not 50-50, right? Balance is not 50-50. Can I have a beer sometimes? Yes. Can I have as much beer as a whole that I do water? No, right? Balance is not 50-50. There's benefits and drawbacks to every situation, and this is a really, really important thing to realize, because when we're not realizing the benefits and the drawbacks, especially with other people, we tend to put these other people on pedestals, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I do with my athletes is, I have a couple that I work really, really closely with. I go, hey, I need you to, the benefits are obvious, right? The benefits are obvious. I need you to find the drawbacks. I need you to find the drawbacks of working with me. What are the drawbacks of Eliot? So that I don't get put on this pedestal that there's only one way down from. You have to. And that's all we're doing. Trump, Biden, Hillary, who the fuck ever, right? Whatever person that you're looking at going, oh my God, they're going to save us. Man, nobody going to save you, baby. You're going to have to save yourself.
Right. Right. Hey, I wanted to go back to something real quick, and that is your is I got it right? MMA, mixed martial arts.
Yeah. Mixed martial arts.
Let's dive into this for a second, because I don't know if my audience knows this, but your background is deep, man. And I want to know, what does it feel like to walk in that cage? By the way, I listened to your TED Talk, and I like the way you started off on that, but let's talk about it, man. Give me the feeling when you're walking into that cage.
Fighting is the worst goddamn drug in the world, bro. It's you are so scared, and people mask it in different ways. Like you see Conor, right? Everyone knows Conor McGregor, right? Conor masks it with this bravado and this intensity, but he's still scared. And other people are just scared. And then you have George St. Pierre, who talks about how fucking scared he is. You are petrified. You have to get good with your own death before the fight. You have to come to terms with the fact that this might be the last 15 or 25 minutes of your life. And if you don't get good with that in some way, you can't go out there and do the damn thing, because it is that intense. It is that intense. But it's amazing. It's amazing. But I try to convince everybody not to fight. You tell me you want to fight, I'm like, great, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. It is so terrible, because most likely it's not going to work out for you. You're not going to be the Conor in the GSP where you run off and ride into the sunset and make millions. Okay. It's going to suck every single thing. It's going to take every single thing that you have. It's going to chew it up and spit it out. Now, what it spits out, that's going to be up to you.
You mentioned something earlier about being scared.
Yeah.
I like to say there's a difference between being scared and being afraid. So this idea of the fear versus this idea of awareness, that I'm stepping into something here pretty difficult, right? I know when I used to fly the jets, and by the way, I don't know if you noticed, I used to be a Blue Angel pilot, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right? So when I'm climbing in that airplane, man, I want to be a little scared. Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm hyper alert then. I got those little hairs standing up in the back neck, but I don't want to be afraid, because fear is going to cause stuckness, right? So tell me the difference in your mind between the two, and how did you experience those?
So I have these rules for my kids, and one of them is, if you're scared, you have to go do it, right? That's rule number 4, is if you're scared, you have to go do it. And everyone goes, oh, well, what about jumping off a bridge? I'm like, well, no, that's danger. There's a difference here. Right? That's danger. Like, that's death. You jump off a bridge, you die. We're trying to survive.
Right.
Now, fighting, any type of fighting, fear freezes you.
Yeah.
Right? It freezes you. You have to realize that shit's an illusion. First of all, it's just an illusion. It's not true. It is not fucking true. You're most likely, what are we afraid of? We're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of what's about to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So we're again, I take this farther than just the fear, this, but we'll start here. Now, the fear starts to come when one of 2 things is happening, or one of 3 things is happening. 1, you didn't prepare.
Yep.
Right. You didn't prepare. If you didn't prepare, there's going to be fear, not scared. Okay. 2, you are refusing to look at the situation or your opponent or whatever it is, their strengths. What are they going to try to do to you? If you are only saying how great you are and only have, right, you have to be aware of where it goes bad. How will this go poorly for me? So if you refuse to look at how it will go poorly, you're going to have fear, right?
Yep.
And then the last and biggest piece of this, from my perspective, and this is just my perspective, is you don't know who it is to be you. You don't know what it is when you say, I am Eliot. What does that mean? What does it mean to be Eliot? And for me, what it means to be Eliot is, I'm a father, I am a teacher, I am a student, I am a fighter, I am a survivor. All of these things make me enough. Every single one of those things together. And they all don't show up at the same time. The fighter and the father very rarely show up. Inside father and fighter is this thing that's husband. I have to work for my relationship. I have to raise my children with my wife. Like we are in this battle and this fight together. you know? But very rarely does fighter, the warrior of Eliot, he doesn't need to show up very much anymore.
Yeah.
He's not here. Sometimes he does. He needs to be here. Last Saturday, 2 days ago, I walked out with my girl for a fight. He needed to be there for her. Right?
Okay.
Warrior needs to be there. I got another fight this weekend. Warriors got to show up. They got to know I'm fucking ready for battle. Sorry, I hit the thing too hard. They have to be aware. Like, father can't be showing up in that 15 minutes. They don't need father. They need warrior. They need king. So that person has to be showing up. So you have to know who you are. And if you don't, go ahead.
Keep going. No, keep going. If you
when
don't,
you know who you are, when you know who you are, no event of your life can touch you.
Yeah.
Give me something that will touch any of those things that I said that I am.
So do you ever read Sun Tzu, The Art of War?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Right. Okay. And so what I remember, one of the most powerful takeaways there was know your enemy and don't know yourself. So you got to know your enemy and you got to know yourself. And I don't even like the word enemy, but it's art of war, right? So know your competitor, know yourself. If you know one and not the other, if you know the enemy and you know yourself, you may win, you may not. You don't know. If you know if you know yourself, but you don't know your enemy, may win, may not. When you know them both, now you have power because you're going to know how to engage and how to disengage. What's your thoughts on that as you were preparing for a fight?
Me personally, I was very unskillful at it for my own career. Now, as the leader of other people, as the coach of some other people, I'm trying to do it in a much more skillful way so that we can take all of my mistakes and all of my shortcomings and where I didn't do things so skillfully, and I can pass them on to the new generation.
Tell our audience what you do now with this.
So I have 7 schools. I have 7 martial arts schools, and I coach people at a distance, like I go to each school once a week, I rotate. So my main school is Denver. I teach there every week, multiple times a week, but the other schools I go there, every Monday I'll go to the other 6 locations.
Are they all in Colorado?
All in Colorado right now. Yes. Okay. So I have a distant relationship. Not distant, but semi close. I have a closer relationship with the students that I teach in Denver, and then I have an even closer relationship with the handful of fighters that I work with very, 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 very personally, where we do so much more work than just on the martial arts skill of things, because we have to know who we are. We do so much work on who are we. And I also do this online thing. So if you want to hit me up, we can do it online as well.
Well, let's dive into the who am I and who are we? Because I love, not everybody has thought deeply about that, right? And this question, who am I? This goes back thousands of years. We're struggling with this. So I loved your I am statement. I think that's so powerful when you say I am, and you said a father, a warrior, a husband. I mean, whatever word you put after the I am, you got to be aware, right? Because that's how you're defining yourself. So let me bounce this off you, and then I want to get your I am statement again. Okay. Yeah. So I'll give you mine, right? So I like to say I am an angel. And I said, the reason I picked the word angel was not because I happened to be a Blue Angel pilot in the past. No, I was doing some research on wisdom. And it turns out an angel's got 5 qualities. An angel is a messenger. An angel gives guidance. An angel protects. An angel is a warrior. And above all else, an angel serves others. And, Eliot, I said, I'm not sure those are the only 5 qualities, but if they are, I'm in, right? So I have that power because every morning I wake up and I just say, I'm an angel. I'm here to serve. I'm here to protect. I mean, like you said, it changes the archetype. Sometimes you have to be an angel of appearances. You have to appear differently for different people, whether it's your children, whether it's your students, whether it's a business relationship, right? Yeah. Sometimes you need to be kind, and that's different than being nice, because sometimes kind is calling it the hard facts, right? So that's my I am statement. What resonates with you with that?
It all does there, because it's untouchable by an outside event. So this is what's really important to me with the I am statements, like the girl that just fought this weekend. She texts me all camp every day. We have 8-week camps, 7 days a week, right? So I give her Sundays off, actually. So that's 6 days a week. It's 48 days, right? Every morning we get on the Zoom, we talk, we get our mindset right for the day. And then she has to text me her I am statements.
Do they change?
No, they're the same.
Okay.
I am amazing. I am a mother. I am resilient. I am determined. I am a student. I am a fighter, right? Those are her I am statements. I haven't memorized,
Wow.
So they have to be untouchable. They have to be like I am an angel student. There's no outside event that will fuck with it because you have to be unfuckable with, right? Like, because if situation A happens to you and it makes one of those I am statements not true, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Right? You've got a problem, because now where you are defining yourself, where are you putting a definition on you, which is a very, very dangerous thing.
It is.
Right? It's a very dangerous thing to do this. I think it's worth the risk if you can really dig in deep, though. If it's fuckable with, you crumble at some point. You crumble. And like, for example, with my athletes, if losing the fight makes one of the I ams not true, they're going to be really, really scared about losing this fight because it's going to mess with their identity. Right? It's going to mess with your identity, whatever it is. So you can't fuck with your identity. Your identity has to be so ingrained that there's no event. So now events, they can just become information. Right? It can just be like, oh, I did that skillfully and I did that unskillfully. Okay. Okay, great. Here, move here. Okay, great. Move there. Boom, 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 boom. Now we can just make adjustments. Now we can make adjustments without this ego screaming at us, without this identity crisis screaming at us. Right? Because now we have a much bigger problem. And look, for my career, for my whole life up until about 35, 36 years old, my identity was screaming at me because I didn't know who I was. And I was running from the fear. I was running as far away from the fear as I could to beat it down and hide it. And, eventually it came and said hello to me. And it made me,
What was that like? Hold on, man. When fear says hello, give me the story. Where were you when that happened?
So I I've retired, and look, I was fighting for a really shitty, the real why of why I was fighting was really shitty. I had no friends, because of this Black Jewish thing. I was very unaccepted. People, my house was spray painted with swastikas and Nigers go home. The first couple times they would spell the word wrong. They figured it out eventually, maybe the dictionary.
I like your humor.
It is what it is, man. What can you do? Everything in your life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. You can't be a victim.
Love that quote.
So
Sugar, make sure you're capturing all these quotes. I forgot to tell you ahead of time. I knew Eliot was going to.
I steal it all, baby. I steal it all. Nobody had an original one, man. We all steal and repurpose. Yeah. So, I was allowed to play outside of people's houses, but I wasn't allowed in their houses.
Jeez.
Stuff like that.
What age is this that you're talking?
This is starting at 8, this is starting at 8 when the age when it's really important that the world that your parents can only hide you from the world for so long, right? And at some point the world happens upon you and you don't even need your parents anymore, right? Like you need them, but like they can't do it for you. Your peers, the world has to start like doing it for you, friends, whoever. And at this point I had none. I had 2, I had 2 and it wasn't great for me. I would walk through the halls of school alone. I would eat lunch alone. Just unaccepted, right? My parents were great, man. I had great parents. I had great grandparents. But again, it's not enough, right? It's not enough for them.
Where were you growing up?
South Jersey.
South Jersey.
Yeah, okay. South Jersey. So
you got that Jersey look.
Yeah, baby. I got it all.
I love it. Tough, strong. But now you went to Colorado because I want to talk about going to Boulder. I went to see you.
Oh, 1 year. Yeah.
My freshman year, walked on, played football.
Nice.
For the Buffs.
So the story of the fighting thing and the breakdown, it's going to come here. So, but I've been doing my martial arts my whole life, and I start learning this jujitsu stuff in the late 90s. And I learned it in between a little bit in the summer, in between my junior and senior year. And I go back and I'm talking about it a little bit.
Okay.
And then these wrestlers hear me talking about it. And a couple of them were state champ wrestlers. And then nobody knew what jiu-jitsu was, right? In the early 90s. And they're like, man, we'll mop the floor with you. And I'm like, okay, let's see. And they don't mop the floor with me. I beat them.
Nice.
But then people start to
Nice.
like me. Then people start to accept me a little bit. And it becomes this thing where like, oh shit, I'm going to fight in the UFC. Right there, I said I was going to fight in the UFC. Because
Oh, wait a minute. So what age are you? You're
18, 17 years old, something young. That's what I
Nice.
said. Right. But it wasn't because I really wanted it. It was because I was attaching social acceptance to this, social security, not the money, right? To this. Right. And then jujitsu, and I just dive in. When I moved to Colorado, dive all in, right? And I get really good. And now my social acceptance keeps building, right? Keeps building. And then I fight, and my social acceptance more. But then there becomes this pressure because I'm not fighting on the small scene anymore. I'm fighting on the big show. Right. So now everything becomes about, for me, what's going to happen if I lose? Right? What's going to happen if I lose? Will I still have friends? Will people still love me?
Little voice start talking.
Yeah, this anxiety, this demon, this devil behind my ear. Because all I care about is having friends. All I care about is somebody fucking loving me. You know? Yeah. And it crumbles. I'm not the champ. You know, I don't have a championship. I don't have a UFC belt. If I did, it'd be hanging behind the wall, you know, right? Like I don't have one of them. So what did I do? I go into business. Literally, I have my last fight on a Saturday, and I'm looking at the building that my Denver school is now in. I looked at that building on Tuesday. You know, I purchased it, went under contract, purchased it a couple months later, all in on business, make my life with some help, some good fortune. And it crumbled again. Why? This demon, this breakdown, this mental breakdown, because I wasn't talking to him. I wasn't addressing him. And he came to say, hey, Eliot, it's time. I'm either going to rule you for the rest of your life, or you are going to be the ruler of your life. Your choice here. But this is not going to be comfortable, and this is not going to be easy. You're going to cry. And I cried a lot. I cried for 9 months. My friends would stay up on the phone with me a month straight. My friends stayed up on the phone with me every fucking night as I would have panic attack after panic attack. And they would just talk to me. And sometimes I'd fall asleep, and then they would hang up. And then sometimes we'd be up all night. We'd be up all night. And there's 3 of them, and they rotated kind of who was staying up with Eliot tonight. I can remember the first night that I didn't call them. They all freaked out. They were calling each other. They're like, yo, where's Eliot? Are you okay? They're like, should we call him? They're like, no, maybe he's asleep. Fuck, but what if it went really bad? So I had a tribe. That would ride or fucking die with me. And that's rule number 6 with me and my kids. We ride or die. If my brother goes down, then I go down. You're not in this by yourself. You can never be in this by yourself. Beautiful. So there's no such thing as a self-made man. Nobody did it by themselves either. So somebody helped you.
I love these rules. I want to go right to rule number 1.
Rule number 1 is you have to do jujitsu. You have to do jujitsu. You have to learn how to fight.
So let's talk about what. So what is jujitsu? I mean, how does it differ?
It's a grappling art. It's grappling. It's where it's like wrestling, but now we add. You can fight from the bottom. It's not just about pinning somebody. Where wrestling is about pinning the person's back to the mat. Jujitsu is about applying a strangulation or a joint manipulation so that the person is either rendered unconscious or you break the limb. And they submit. And if they choose not to submit, with the choke, they go to sleep. With the joint manipulation, the limb now becomes useless, and then you would just continue to work until you put them to sleep. But people tap, right? Because we all tap, and that's how we're able to train jiu-jitsu. But the beauty of it is when you box, for example, boxing, you can't really practice boxing full out because you're going to knock each other out, right? And if I knock you out,
because the gloves now are a lot different than boxing gloves, right? Talk about that.
Well, hold on. This is just jiu-jitsu. This is not MMA. Okay?
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, this is just jiu-jitsu. So but when you wrestle, you can wrestle full out. Yep. And when I lock your arm, it doesn't hurt. Like put your arm out as straight as you can. It's locked out. You tap, it's going to break. You tap, we shake hands and we go again. Okay. Right. It's not this, so you get to really see real things in real time. Where, example, if you and I were going to box, we couldn't punch each other as hard as we could, especially if we wanted to do it again tomorrow as
Right.
practice, right? As an activity for adults and kids. And because if I knock you out, now you're out 6 months, right? Even if I don't knock you out, you got a headache. Who wants to do that every day?
Right.
You know, you can hit a bag every day, but that's not the same. You don't know what you can really do. And that's what jiu-jitsu teaches you. It teaches you, and everyone comes in and they're terrible. They're awful. They're just god awful. And then it builds this real confidence. Somebody's on top of you and you can't get out. You don't know how to get out and you get stuck. A month later, you're almost there too. Oh shit, now I'm starting to get out from underneath people. Oh man, I'm starting to defend myself. Oh, I'm starting to get on top of people and beat them. Oh man, I made somebody tap. Oh my God. And you did it. But you didn't do it alone. I did it with you, and I did it with that guy over there and that girl over there, and boom, boom, boom. And we're bringing each other up together. So all of our differences, going back to what we said earlier, all of our differences don't matter. How much money you make and what car you drive and how good looking your wife is. And if you're gay or straight or black or white or Muslim or whatever, it doesn't matter. We're all in this together because I need you and you need me on this mat.
Wow.
You know, and we come up together.
What a great example for the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just the mat, right? Because we all do need each other.
Yeah.
In every aspect.
In every aspect.
What, talk to me about your mental preparation. We talked about you got to prepare before going into any, fight.
Mm-hmm.
What was your mental preparation? How did you prepare?
It was terrible. How I prepare people now is way more skillful. My mental preparation, I was too afraid. I couldn't get past my fear. Because I wasn't aware of it, right? When
were
talking
you
about
afraid of
yourself.
Losing, or were you afraid of getting hurt? What were you afraid of?
I was afraid of losing because if I lost, then I'd have no friends. And if I had no friends, then I'd be that scared kid back in that scared 16-year-old kid again,
right?
All by himself, with his house getting spray painted and all of that. That was the fear.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how most fears are emotional? They're not even physical. I mean, and you're talking serious physical challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the physical piece, I mean, let's dive into it for a second.
Let's go, man.
Fear and excitement, the two most opposite emotions, right? Feelings. They're very, very, very opposite, right? Yeah. What do your hands feel like when you're scared?
They're
tingly,
clenched,
right? They're tingly, right? What does your stomach feel like when you're scared?
Nervous.
Something's going on. What do your legs feel like?
Heck, man, I'm shaking. Actually, when I get scared, I get diarrhea. Okay? Yeah. I mean, my bowels, I'm like, whoa.
Right. Me too. Now let's go excitement. What do your hands feel like when you're excited?
They're powerful.
They're doing this, but they're doing something, right? They got this going on. You're like, oh, there's something.
Even like right now for our audience, if they're watching on YouTube, just spread your fingers. You feel the energy in there, right? So keep going.
But it's a feeling in your hands.
Yeah.
A weird feeling in your hands. There's a weird feeling in your gut, and there's a weird feeling in your legs. So fear and excitement present physically the same. It's this that's different. It's the thought that's going on in here that's different between fear and excitement. So if we can not work on all right, my hands are tingly, whatever, who fucking cares? When you're excited, you don't even care, right? When you're really, really excited and you got to run to the bathroom and take a shit, like you said, like diarrhea or whatever it is, you're like, oh, whatever. And then you go back to doing your thing, right? Like, I can't miss this. But for some reason, when you're scared and the same thing happens, you're like, oh my God, I'm frozen.
Yeah.
So it's just this. So how do we handle this, right? How do we handle this? We handle this by first knowing who we are, right? By first knowing who am I? And then you start to ask yourself, what am I capable of?
Yeah.
Right? What can I do? Because so often we think that we have to be special, right? We need to show up and do, more than what we're capable of to get the job done. And that's just not possible, right? Because fear and limits are the same. They're both just illusions. They're both just illusions. They're not true. Okay.
Let's dive in. Let me share you something real quick, because I think you're onto something very powerful. I haven't shared this with my audience yet. And that is this idea of not just fear and excitement. I would even call it, pain and joy, right? Mm-hmm. So very similar, right? And I had this when I was with my current wife. She had broken up with me for the third time, right? And I remember this time I thought it was going to be done, right? I mean, she's like, it's over. And I remember I was crushed, my heart was crushed. I was in pain, started crying, and I felt all this terrible, feeling of this idea of loss, I'm going to lose something, right? And then all of a sudden, I had met somebody else, and all of a sudden this didn't just started to not even date him yet, but I started about opportunity, and all of a sudden I thought about, wait a minute, here's all this joy, and because they both came at the exact same time, I had that experience that you just had. All of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, there's no difference between the pain that I was bringing into one situation and the joy that I was bringing in the other situation. It was simply how I labeled them, how the mind was labeling them. But then, Eliot, here's what really got interesting. So that was a big aha, because I was like, wait a minute, it is important how I perceive, how I label something. But then they both went away, and I realized that I have unlimited potential. I have unlimited potential. And then, the feeling I had was everything's going to be okay. Anything that comes into my life, everything's going to be okay. So that was my visceral experience. And once you feel that in your body, you don't lose it, right?
It's gone. I don't know how, like, this is, it's the most powerful thing. It's belief.
Yeah.
Right? It's belief. If you can believe in yourself, if you can figure out how to truly, truly believe in yourself. And that's what this devil of mine taught me how to do, because he's not my devil anymore. He's my homie. He's my best friend, because he points the direction of, like, Eliot, you don't want to walk over there, but that's the fire. And that's the gospel of fire, right? You got to walk into that fucking flame, because that's where all the gold is. Every single last piece of the gold, that your amazingness exists in the place where you can die. And when you find that place, it's duality, right? When you find that place, when you accept that, yes, this might kill me, but if it does, you're dead. So fuck it. And then, if not, you're stronger. You are just we keep trying to run from these things. Right. We keep trying to hide from these things. And you've said this word a couple of times, and it's probably my favorite word. I have, like, what I call my 3 Ps: power, power. If you can grasp your power, and then if you can combine your power, and your power, I like to describe it as, it's the thing that makes you amazing in the world. Okay. That's your power. It's the thing that doesn't make you a lot of money. Maybe it does. I don't know. LeBron James's does, Michael
Where
Jordan.
do you feel your power? I feel it in my core. You know how you say core strength?
It emanates through me, bro. It emanates through me. I feel it. I feel it in my fingers, and I feel it in my toes. Where does it come from? It comes from my heart center.
There you go.
It comes from my heart center, and from there it just emanates. And if you can combine, if you know what your power is, and then if you have your passion,
I knew you
know what you're passionate about, and you combine these two things, you get purpose.
Nice.
And then you just go give your purpose to the world. You don't even care about how much money you'll make, right? Because it won't matter. It will come in. It will be a secondary consequence of giving it away. I like to say, look, all I do all day is teach martial arts, right? That's how I spend most of my day. I don't get paid to teach. If I teach a seminar, it's either free or the money's getting donated. Private lessons, free. Private lessons, no way. Don't take money for it. The tuition at the school, everyone goes, yeah, you charge all the students tuition. I was like, man, if you come up to me and you say, Ellie, I can't afford this month, so I need to take the month off. I'll be back next month. My response is, no, I'll see you this whole month. If you tell me when you can pay again. You tell me when you can pay again, because I'm not in this. I don't teach classes for money. You pay. Your tuition is the life change that you're going to go through the long period of you being here. The really, really long period of you being here. And when the tuition hits your credit card, however much it is, you're going to look at that shit and you're going to be like, God damn, I would pay triple.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn, I would pay triple. And that's how I know I'm doing my job.
Eliot, in the blues, you've talked to a lot of things that, you're talking about relating it on the mat, and you're teaching it to kids. And I love this. When I was on the Blue Angels, that power and passion did create purpose. And let me just share with you this story. So the power is in the jets. I mean, you're talking 32,000 pounds of thrust. It is life or death. And that's the other thing you mentioned, is when life and death is a real possibility. Rarely for most people is that there, right? you can push yourself. There is this excitement, but you got to be smart because it's easy to kill yourself, right? It's easy to be stupid out there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, whether you're flying a jet or in jujitsu, I mean, it's easy to be stupid, right? So the challenge is, can you push it to the limit and know where that limit is? Which you back off. I call it pushing the envelope. You hit the limit, you back off. You hit the limit, you back off, and you're nibbling on that envelope. But the reason I love your power and passion, because the real passion on the Blue Angels and what gave us purpose were the kids. And I hear that, still coming from you, right? It wasn't flying. The flying was just the medium. Yeah, that was challenging. It was exciting, but it was going to the crowd line. It was signing an autograph or picking up a little girl in your arm. And like you said, kids are so similar. It doesn't matter. If I was in Moscow, it doesn't matter, right? And you feel that look in their eye. And that gave the purpose of the Blue Angels, which are ambassadors of goodwill. I don't know if you knew that, but that was our purpose, ambassadors of goodwill.
Yeah, you have to find your purpose. And I think this is one of our biggest, I think this is why we are finding ourselves as a society so separated, is we are living purposeless lives, right? We're waking up and we're just going through the motions of our day. We're letting the day happen to us. You're not taking charge of your day from the second it starts and going to bed in a very purposeful, powerful way every single night. There has to be some routine. There has to be some reasons. There has to be some whys. And you have to, we weren't made purposeless. We weren't made to be purposeless. Like 1,000, 10,000 years ago, yeah, the purpose was different. The purpose was just survival and the spreading of the species. We don't have to worry about that so much anymore. That's been, unfortunately and fortunately, that's been taken away from us. We are very safe. We know where our food's coming from and all of that, but it's taken away the purpose. You wake up, you have your 2.5 kids, you live in your house, you pay your mortgage, you drive a nice car, you have sex with your wife or your husband a couple times a week, hopefully. And then that's it, but why get up in the morning? For what reason are you going to get up in the morning? And if you don't know the answer to that, in my opinion, this is why we have all these problems.
Man, give me your purpose right now. What is your purpose? Yeah.
My purpose is to lead other people to their power.
Nice.
I want to, first of all, starting with my children.
Yeah.
So that they become strong and able to handle whatever road it is that they are asked to walk.
Yeah.
And this is where we need some work from my perspective. We're trying to prepare the road for our children. And you can't do that, because who can prepare a fucking road? Who knows what the road looks like? You got to prepare the kid for the road.
Nice.
Right? You have to prepare the kid for the road so that no matter what the road looks like, no matter what the terrain of the road looks like, rocky, bumpy, smooth, right?
Right.
Cool. You're golden. And this is what I tell my kids, I'm like, boys, we're always golden. We're always golden. Why? Because it's on you. Because your life is on you. Now, dad's here, mom's here to help you. We're going to teach you this, but you're not going to understand this until you're 30. You're not going to understand that I'm on your team always until you're 30. But yeah, you got to do the damn dishes, and yeah, you got to cut the grass, and yeah, you got to do all this, right? And yeah, that blah, blah, blah. And yeah, you have to do jujitsu, and yeah, you got to learn how to swim. And yeah, when somebody walks in the house or when you meet somebody, you look them in the eye, you say, thank you. You give that person respect, and you demand some respect back as a 5-year-old, as a 4-year-old, as a 2-year-old. I don't care. It started early in my house. It started early. You got to learn how to make your money. These are my rules. You got to learn how to make your money work for you and not work for your money. And then we went over the other two. If you're scared, go. And if your brother goes down, then you go down. You ride or die together.
Man, I love you're talking about your kids and the ages. So I remember this story about the Dalai Lama was asked the question, how do you teach integrity? Because I heard you talking about integrity, right?
The other day, yeah.
And especially to young people, right? And he laughed because he says, "Oh, you got a problem," and he says, at that age, you see, kids don't do what you say; they do what you do. So you have to live a life of integrity. So talk to me about what does integrity mean to you? How do you live a life of integrity?
Do I do what I say I'm going to do? Do my words and my actions match up?
Oh, nice.
That's it. So look, I can put all this shit out on Instagram, right? Like, for example, companies, for example, they like to put their core values on the wall somewhere in their building, right? A lot of companies like to do this. And we have core values at my company, you know, my jujitsu schools.
What are they?
Integrity, stewardship, integrity, stewardship. I can't remember the other two. Why am I drawing a blank? Safety and inclusiveness. Okay.
Nice.
That those are, you know, those are our 4 core values.
Okay.
But I've never spoken about them publicly before. That, you know, you're the first person to ask, and we won't put them up on the wall because someone's got to come in our school. And after a year of being there, I have to say, hey, do you know what the core values are? They're like, oh, no, they're not on the wall. But then I can say, hey, if you had to guess what the core values are, could you give me them? You know, and they better get close. You know, they might not say the word stewardship, right? But they better describe stewardship. They better describe safety. They better describe integrity. You know, do they say the word? I'm not sure. I don't care about the word, but so many people go, oh, this is our mission. This is our core values. This is our blah, blah, blah. And then they don't do it because, well, no, we put it on the wall though, man. Right? we put it on the wall. So that means it's true. And that's just not the way the world works. Nobody cares about what you say. They only care about what you do. Right? Yeah. How do you live? What are your actions? I can say all this bullshit that I want, but how about if you had a hidden camera in my house, would I be living it? Because it's really easy to do out. Like it's really easy to put on your Superman suit. Right? And when you go out in the world and be Superman and then come home and be Lex Luthor. Right? You know, it's an easy thing to do. You can fake out the world. I mean, goddamn, this fucking phone, Instagram, bro. You know how cool you can look on Instagram? You can rent a car for 5 minutes, take a really nice picture next to it and be like, yo, baller, bling, bling, you know, come follow me. I'll show you how to do this. And you've never done it.
Right. Well, I thought a good definition of lying was, I heard, it's not just that you say something. If you implant an impression, if somebody walks away with a different impression, that's a lie. And you just said that, man. If you try to make an impression on Instagram with a car that you just rented for 5 minutes and you're trying to make that look like that's yours, you're lying to people, man.
Yeah. And but people make millions doing it. It's good. The roosters will come home. You know, the roosters will come home. And one of the other things that I'm really big on, because I have 2 boys. So this idea of masculinity is really, really important to me. You know, like how to raise strong men, like the idea of like toxic masculinity. I don't believe it exists. I believe that the behavior that they're describing is toxic. I don't believe it's masculine. I don't believe it's even a little bit masculine. You know, I think masculine identity is so important, as is feminine identity. And we all need to have a little bit. I need to have some feminine in me, you know, some feminine traits. It's very important. But being masculine is not toxic. Now, screaming to the world how great you are and blah, blah. Yes, that is toxic. Abusing people, toxic. I don't know, this thing that I'm on recently, this idea of lion, not sheep, is very toxic to me, because lions don't tell anybody they're a fucking lion. You know, you know, that's toxic. That's toxic. And look, I'm not saying I'm a lion. I don't know. That's not for me to say. That's for me to say I'm a good husband. I can't say I'm a fucking good husband. That's my wife's to say. Like, you have to ask her, you know?
Right.
So, but once you say you are, then it's the easy thing to know that you're not.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I liked what you talked about culture, and this is so true in companies and in families even, right? Yeah. It's not what you say, it's what you do every single day. And I love your technique of coming back in a year or whatever and saying, what do you think the culture is? Right.
Yeah. What you tell me? And you know, this idea, you know, again, now in the home culture, you know, look, you do what's necessary. That's masculine behavior in the home.
Okay. Yeah. Let's define what do you mean about that masculine behavior that you were talking about? Define that for me.
You have to be a king. You know, I'm going to steal it. You have to be a king. You have to be a warrior. You have to be a magician. You have to be a lover. And that's the name of a book: King, Warrior, Magician, Lover.
Yeah.
You know,
the archetypes. What was the name of that book? Do you remember what it was?
King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. You know, it's great. That's what it is, you know? And there's upsides, there's the benefits and drawbacks to each person. If the king gets here, if the king gets too high, the king gets too low. You got to stay very neutral in all of these archetypes. It's not just one. It's not just like, oh, you're a king. Because there's tyrants that are kings.
Yeah.
Right. There's tyrants that are warriors. Like we were saying earlier, warrior rarely needs to show up. He never needs to show up in my house. The only time warrior will need to show up inside my house is if somebody breaks in my house. Other than that, warrior cannot be here. Yep. It's all king. It's all lover. It's all magician a little bit. You know? What's
the magician archetype?
The magician archetype is you have the secrets. You have a secret. You have knowledge, you know? Now, look, you can be, I have too much knowledge and blah, blah, and take it terrible. Or you can be like, oh man, I'm just so stupid. I don't know what to do. And that's not enough magician, you know? So that's the magician.
Got it. Hey, two things I want to go back to, because I'm just enjoying the shit out of this.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
You're going deep, right? But I wanted to go back to this idea of being in the ring, okay? Because, you know, I mean, I've never done that. I've done different warrior stuff, and I'm like you. That's my past. I mean, I don't need to be a warrior in the physical sense anymore. I respect the ones that are, but I've been there, right? You know, and so I'm thinking about in fighter aviation, we have a thing called a OODA loop, okay? And it's how we train for an engagement, right? So it's 4 things. I don't know if you've heard of it: observe, orient, decide, act. And let me break them down for you, and then talk to me about how you did this in the ring, right? So the first thing was, because I think you already in your TED talk, you were talking about the observation period when you first jump in the ring, right? So first thing is observe, you know, and there, you know, I want to get in all my senses. It's called situational awareness, because you can be too focused down, you're going to miss stuff, right? Blind spots. Too opened up, and you're not going to be ready to go. So it's this idea of open up and focus down, but I'm observing the situation. Then I orient myself. So situational awareness. So in a fighter aircraft, you know, I need to know what altitude am I at? What altitude is my opponent at? What air speeds? Where does he have the advantage? Where do I have the advantage? Because this is all the orientation. Then that leads to a decision. Because one decision may be, hey, not today. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. And I know you can't do that in the ring. I don't think you can, right? But
no.
Yeah, I mean,
that's called losing.
Yeah, it's called losing. Yeah. But the decision, right? And then your actions. Then you actually take action. So I don't know. You could use this teaching your students, right? Tell me what that means to you and how that fits into the way you teach.
Exactly the same thing, except the decision can never be to run, right? The decision can never be not today. We prepare for the same thing. You go in there and you take the center of the ring right away.
Why?
Okay.
Tell me why.
Why? Because you let the person know that it's your fucking cage.
I like this.
Now, once you establish the position, you can move.
Okay.
And you can watch. And now you're orienting. You're like, okay, you're trying to get some tells, right? You're keeping your head off the center line. You're moving around a little bit, but you're just trying to pick up their rhythms, pick up their patterns. What is it that they like? What is it they prefer? You know, and then you have to decide to act, you know, and then you have to decide how it is that you are going to implement your skill set against that. And
so give me some, what we do. I love it. I like that. Give me some of your initial moves in jiu-jitsu. What are some of the initial actions?
So in fighting, for example, you go out there and you watch the chest, you watch the hips. Okay. You try to put some small shots out to draw their shots out so that you can see how it is they move. Like, for example, this past weekend, we saw that the girl was trying to counter us, right? She was trying to counter my fighter, you know? So what that meant was she wanted us to go first, and then she would counter strike, you know? Now, the way you do that, the way you deal with the counter, the person who's countering, is you counter the counter. you put something small out so that they then try to counter. And when they try to counter, you counter that. Now, my girl was more of a grappler. The other girl is more of a striker, you know?
Okay.
So the way you counter the striking is you wrestle. You put something out, you get them to counter. When they counter, their hips will be there. You put them down. And then from there, you do the work. You keep going, right? So this is the idea of orient yourself or observe, you know?
Yeah.
But first there's a really important thing. You have to let them know that that's your fucking cage.
Yeah.
Right. You have to let them know. They can't not know how to grasp. You have to take the power, you know, like, yo, motherfucker, you're in a fight, you know, and this is mine, you know?
I love that. So in dogfighting, let me give you an analogy. I like when you talk about, there's different strengths, grappler versus a striker. When you take someone head on, and by the way, nowadays it's called BVR, beyond visual range. A lot of times you don't even see your opponent, right? But we used to limit the missiles because it was really fun to be in a cage like you're talking about. We'd say sticks and bones, meaning you can't shoot anybody till you pass. Okay, so you gotta engage first. You gotta come at each other 1,000 miles per hour, right? And bam, and at that pass, you make a decision. Do I go one circle or two circle? And what I mean by that is the fight that you're going to get into. So a two circle fight is this. If I come at and we both cross and we turn towards each other, it's actually forming two circles. Okay. The other, and that's more of an energy fight. So you got to sustain energy. You got to, but a one circle fight is if I see my opponent go that way, or come into me, mostly they'll come into me, I reverse. And now we're actually we call it a knife fight because you're really close, right? Yeah. And it's like being in a knife fight in a phone booth. That's what we used to call it,
Yeah.
And, but I love one circle fights, because you get your fangs out, I mean, it's the energy fight. I didn't like those as much. So I don't know. Tell me about martial arts. How does that?
It's martial arts is about who can impose their game on the other person. Okay. And this is, and we'll take, like, for example, Conor McGregor. What Conor McGregor always tries to do is he tries to come out and overwhelm you in the beginning. He tries to get you hurt so bad in the beginning that you'll either be stopped or that you won't be able to continue. You'll be so weakened for the second round that that you can't really fight anymore, Mm-hmm. It's not going as well for him recently because people are withstanding his first round, and this is the beauty of fighting. This is the beauty of fighting. Is for a long time it was going well. He was killing people, was working out, got to fight Floyd, made over $100 million, all of this, not, and he killed it. So financially he's good for his life, but fighting wise, I don't think he is, because people have kind of figured his game out and they're like, look, just don't die in the first 5 minutes. Wow.
Hey, tell me a little bit about the different martial arts, because I'm not familiar.
Yeah, so there's jujitsu, right? Yeah. There's jujitsu and wrestling, and they're the grappling martial arts. Judo gets thrown in there too. Then there's the striking arts, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, things like that. Some people still do karate, but not really too much. So you have grappling and striking. Mixed martial arts is the intermixing of them. Can you do them all? Like, so the way it started, the way the UFC started was to see who had the best martial art, not the best fighter, the best martial art. That was the Gracies with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boom, exploded. Now it's not that. Now it's who's the best athlete. Now it's who is the best fighter. There isn't anybody on the planet that's fighting MMA, that's fighting it at a high level, that doesn't do all of the aspects of the game. You have to do all the aspects of the game. You have to be an athlete, with some athletic ability. So it's a different thing now than it used to be. It's its own thing, where before it was separate.
I see. Hey, tell me about your book, man, The Gospel of Fire. Let's talk about that for a second.
The Gospel of Fire is the full version of my breakdown and how I came through, and how I got there and all of that, so it's not the Cliff Notes version. Like today I gave the Cliff Notes version, right? Where like the Gospel of Fire is all about strategies for overcoming your insecurities, your demons, and all of that. And yeah, it's made its weight in gold. It's made its weight in gold and not financial gold.
Yeah, the lessons that you teach in that are just incredible. Can we go through those 10 your 10, what do you call them again that you teach to folks? 10 lessons. What is it?
My rules?
Yeah, your rules.
6 rules. Oh, my 6 rules for my
six
kids.
rules. Can we go through the 6 again?
Rule number 1 is you have to do jujitsu. And these first 2 are figuratively and metaphorically. You have to learn how to fight. You know, like it's so important. Figuratively, it's so important because, man, being able to defend yourself is a fucking thing. You walk through the world differently. You walk through the world differently if you know how to fight. You get really, really calm. Okay. Nice. You don't fight. Anybody that knows how to fight doesn't fight because you're aware of the danger of it. Like for you, fighter pilot, right? Like, no, you know, if somebody called you a name, you're not getting in your jet and flying because the risk of just getting in the jet is very high. Yeah. You know? So same thing with combat, physical fighting, hand to hand. You know, once you learn how to do it, all the bullies go away, everything goes away. You know? Metaphorically, your life is going to be a fight. Every single person's life is going to be a fight. But you better learn how to fucking do it. 2, you have to learn how to swim. I'm African American, so one of the leading causes of deaths in young African American children is they drown because they don't know how to swim. Right. You know, so my kids learned how to swim, and it is the number 1 cause of death for all kids above the age of 2, between 2 and 5, is drowning. Jeez. So you have to know how to swim. Metaphorically, can you tread water?
Nice.
And that's swimming, because sometimes there's no winning, and we all want to win right now. Oh, I want to win, right? I want to win. No, sometimes the answer is to tread water. I have a really good story about it. My oldest kid was 7 at the time, and you know, on one of our trips to Hawaii, we'd like to swim out to this buoy that was out there. You know, and it was like, you know, I don't know, quarter mile out, whatever it was. So we'd swim out the quarter mile because he could swim, and then we would swim back. So we swim out there, we're treading water a little bit. I'm like, all right, dude, you ready to go back? He goes, yeah. And then we start swimming back, and we swim, and it's so hard. It's like 3 or 4 minutes we're swimming. I'm like looking over at him. He's right next to me. And I'm like, I touch him so that we can stop. The buoy's right behind us. We were stuck in some current.
Yeah. You got a riptide going on.
Got a riptide. We're not going anywhere.
Right. Got to go sideways.
Yeah. But like sideways was going to be far.
Yeah.
You know? So now we're just stuck. And I'm like, all right, dude, we're going to tread. Nice. And then my little dude could tread water. You know, and I was really scared because it's like, how long are we going to have to do this? Yeah. Right. And like, I'm like, fuck, he's going to have to hold on to me. He's going to like, I'm going to like, and he did, he had to like take a rest on me. And then, you know, but like he could tread water, he could swim. And this would like, there was no winning then, you know? And then the other ones were, you have to look people in the eye when you speak to them. You know, kids need to learn how to talk to adults, especially to talk to adults. They need to learn how to say hello. My name is, look somebody in the eye, say please and thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You know, and they need to shake their hand. They need to give respect. And that also teaches them how to demand respect back as a human being, not respect in like this other thing, but just in the respect of I am a person and I matter, you know? Rule number 4, if you're scared, you have to go do it. Rule number 5, I don't believe in attaching your dollar to your hour. I believe it's a very, very dangerous thing, good and bad, because you either work for a low wage and have to work a lot, or if you make a lot of money and make a big hourly, then you'll just fucking work all the time, because who can pass up $10,000 an hour? You know, if you have attached that to your hour. So you make your money work for you, and you don't work for your money. So that's my rule number 5. And then rule number 6 is if my brother goes down, I go down. We ride or die together. Man,
I love your rules. Where'd you come up with these?
I don't know. Yeah. Thinking about how I'm trying to raise strong kids. You know, trying to think about how to raise strong kids and how to make things that were still very applicable to me in my life, right? Because you said it earlier, my kids won't do anything that I say. They will to a point. Yeah. Right. They do to a point when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Like they have to. But what they'll do when they're with their friends is what I do.
Exactly.
You know, what they'll do when they're away from me is they'll like, this is what my dad does. You know, This is what my mom does. And they're probably going to be mostly looking at me because male to male, you know, this is how my dad acts. So this is how I will act.
Yes.
And so I better be on top of, and what that does for me is even when they're not around, I have to act skillfully because they'll catch me slipping.
Yes.
right? You think they're not around, but then they notice it. They catch you slipping. And then they go, okay, so my dad only does this when I'm around. And when he thinks I'm not around, he does this. So therefore I can do that too.
Yep. Now, do you call those life rules? I mean, what do you call those?
The 6 Marshall House rules.
Oh, nice. 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 Hey, tell me about gratitude. Where does gratitude fit in? And I want to know where glad to be here. By the way, you can tell I'm wearing my shirt.
Yeah.
Get you one. All right, brother.
Please.
But
yeah.
What does glad to be here mean to you, and the whole concept of gratitude?
So I practice my gratitude every day. I start with gratitude and I end with gratitude. So I wake up and I meditate, and after I meditate, I thank the universe. You know, like every single day, I thank the universe, and I do my I ams, as I said. I think I said earlier, and then I go to bed. When I go to bed, I get back in the same spot that I meditate. I don't lay on my back. I'm on my hands and knees. I put my head down. I hold my mala beads, and I just say thank you. I just say thank you to every single person that touched my life today. Every single person that loves me, truly loves me, for everything that's skillful about me and everything that's unskillful about me, all of my benefits and all of my drawbacks, because I'm not a perfect human being. I don't show up always how I want to show up in the world. You know, we're talking about these things, but we all mess them up sometimes, you know, because we are imperfect. And I just say thank you to those people, and I tell them that I love them, and I hope they feel that I love them. I hope it emanates out there in the universe, and I spend some time every single day doing that. What does glad to be here to me mean? That it's always my privilege that anybody in the world would spend 1 minute, 1 hour, or the rest of their life with me. It's my privilege to be part of anyone's experience. It's not their privilege to have me around.
Wow, Eliot. First off, it's my privilege to be with you this last hour, man. It has been one heck of a privilege for me. I've learned so much from you. I love that you have your ritual of the way you wake up and the way you go to bed with gratitude and saying thank you. I think, you know, that's I remember Einstein said, if your prayer is thank you, that's enough.
That's right? Enough. Yeah. But, you know, I used to really get worried. I used to think a lot about religion and God, you know, and for me, you know, and I hope I don't offend anybody, they never made sense to me. You know, like some of the Western religions, the Eastern religions did a little more, but the traditions of the Western religions really make sense to me. You know, like praying, things like that, like all that. But the Eastern religions do that too. And I pray to God, man, and I don't know what God is. I don't care. I don't need to answer that question anymore in my life. Like it's just it's the energy that's out there for me, and I'm unconcerned if I will be accepted to heaven or if I will be going to hell or any of that. I just take some time to talk to God every single day, you know, and to really and hopefully, if I will be judged, I guess we'll put it there, you know, we'll put it there.
Well, you're making a big difference in so many people's lives, brother. I can feel it in you. Give me one last takeaway that you like, that you live by, a live with, a quote, a saying, maybe, you know, a rule. What is it that you live by?
So it's going to be 2, if that's okay.
Yeah, you go. Thank you.
And they're the 2 things hanging behind my head over here. The first one is I'll tilt the screen a little bit. You know, the first one is Martin Luther King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. You must love yourself first. That's rule. That's number 1. And then number 2, it's the man in the arena quote by Teddy Roosevelt. You know,
hey, read that, because that is on in Mikey Field at West Point, which is where my dad was an instructor. And I went to many football games. Yeah, let's read it. This is awesome.
It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause. That part's so important, a worthy cause. Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. We must enter the arena. Don't care what your arena is. You love yourself. And then secondly, you just enter the arena over and over and over again. You will find your passion. You will find your power. You will find your purpose if you keep doing that. I can't promise you, but I fucking promise you.
Eliot, what a way to wrap this, man. This has been one of my favorite podcasts. You went deep, bro. I can tell you live it too. I can see it in your eyes and I feel it from you. So Gucci says, very grateful. Glad to be here, man.
Thanks, man. I'm glad to be here too. I'm glad to have done it. I'm glad, one person at a time, man. Everyone wants to have this huge impact on the world. Just start with one, just impact one. If you impact one a day, done.
In fact, we'll put it in the show notes, but how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way?
The best way? Look, I try to answer everyone on my Instagram. So Fire Marshall 205. So Fire Marshall, my last name. I used to fight at 205. I'm not 205 anymore. So Fire Marshall 205. I have a website, eliotmarshall.com. So I try my very, very best. So if I don't respond, I'm really sorry. Please don't hit me up with like a please follow me. Like ask me something real. And I will definitely do my very, very best to respond to anything that you put out there.
I love it. The fire, man. That's you.
Yeah, man.
Fire.
Gospel Fire, baby.
Gospel of Fire. You can get that on Amazon, any other places.
Yeah, it's all. Go to my Instagram, you find it all. You go to my website. Right. Those two places, you'll everything that I have out there, you'll find it from there.
All right, brother. Thanks for the rules. Glad to be here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.